Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Imagine a coordinated aerial assault so devastating it absolutely tore through a nation's defenses. That is precisely what happened when the United States unleashed its entire bomber fleet against Iran. First came the B-2 Spirits, ghostly stealth bombers that crippled Iran's defenses before anyone even knew they were there. Then the B-1B Lancers followed, delivering supersonic fury deep into underground bunkers hidden across Iran's landscape. Finally, the legendary B-52 Stratofortresses arrived, delivering relentless sledgehammer strikes that systematically dismantled Iran's military regime. What we witnessed was 3 generations of American air power deployed to absolutely devastating effect. Today, we break down exactly what the United States did and how it orchestrated one of the most comprehensive and sustained aerial bombing operations in modern military history. From stealth precision to supersonic devastation to sustained attrition, this is the full story of Operation Epic Fury. It all started with the B-2 Spirit, the crown jewel of America's bomber fleet. As a multi-role bomber with world-leading stealth capabilities, the B-2 was the perfect choice for the initial shock and awe campaign that kicked off Operation Epic Fury. It could sneak past Iran's air defenses completely undetected, while those same defenses were being systematically destroyed by simultaneous strikes from US and Israeli fighter jets. Once inside Iranian airspace, each B-2 could unleash a devastating payload of up to 40,000 pounds of munitions. Getting them there presented serious logistical challenges. Without initial assistance from the United Kingdom, B-2 pilots faced grueling round trips exceeding 30 hours. They relied entirely on aerial tankers for mid-air refueling since the bomber's 6,000 nautical mile range wasn't quite enough for the full journey. But the US overcame these hurdles brilliantly, coordinating its KC-46 tankers to be precisely where they were needed at every stage. On February 28th, America unleashed 4 of its B-2 stealth bombers against Iran. These bombers flew over the Strait of Gibraltar en route to their targets, supported by KC-46 refueling tankers that kept them airborne far longer than their typical mission profiles allowed. Fox News correspondent Jennifer Griffin was among the earliest to confirm the B-2's involvement, citing an unnamed US official who reported that 4 B-2 bombers flew round-trip from the United States, dropping dozens of 2,000-pound bombs on underground ballistic missile sites across Iran. Forces News further confirmed that the B-2s specifically targeted Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities during these initial strikes. The munitions used were likely GBU-109 bunker busters attached to JDAM guidance kits, weapons that have been in service since Operation Desert Storm. From the very opening hours, America deployed cross-generational firepower, and the devastating results spoke for themselves within 24 hours. The specific targets struck by the B-2s were almost certainly the massive underground missile cities that Iran had frequently showcased with pride. These enormous bunkers served dual purposes, storing Iran's ballistic missiles while also functioning as launching platforms thanks to their numerous entrances and exits. The B-2s were never tasked with destroying these missile cities entirely. That would be too ambitious for 2,000-pound bombs alone. Instead, the B-2s used their bunker busters with surgical precision to cave in tunnels, collapse critical entrances, and effectively seal these vast underground complexes, transforming them into massive tombs for the very missiles that formed the backbone of Iran's entire military doctrine. And that is precisely what they did, to absolutely devastating effect. By the end of the first 24 hours, America's B-2 bombers, alongside stealth fighter jets and Israeli airframes, had struck over 1,000 targets across Iran. Command and control facilities, warships, submarines, and air defense systems were all systematically destroyed. The initial shock and awe campaign didn't just destroy hardware, it decapitated Iran's leadership. Among the earliest casualties of the joint US-Israeli operation was Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei himself. His death plunged Iran into a devastating leadership crisis on top of the sheer volume of firepower being unleashed upon the country. By March 4th, the tangible impact of America's initial B-2 strikes became measurable in hard numbers. Iranian ballistic missile launches had dropped by an astonishing 86% compared to February 28th. The crumbling missile facilities targeted by America's bunker busters were a massive contributor to that collapse. With this opening salvo, the United States sent an unmistakable message to whatever remained of Iran's regime. The B-2 was in play, and Iran had never even seen it coming. That, after all, is the entire point of a stealth bomber. But as Iran would soon discover, the B-2 strikes were merely the beginning of something far worse. With its crown jewel bombers safely home, the US reached back a generation. Iran's air defenses had been so enormously crippled that stealth was no longer critical. That meant follow-up waves could be delivered by a different beast entirely, the B-1B Lancer. On March 1st and 2nd, the United States proved that older certainly does not mean incapable. The B-1 lacks its cousin's stealth capabilities, but what it possesses is the ability to fly at supersonic speeds, making it one of the fastest bombers in America's arsenal, along with a staggering capacity to carry 75,000 pounds of ordnance. If the B-2 came in quietly and delivered precision strikes against hardened targets, the B-1 was deployed to unleash explosive hell during subsequent waves. Among its weapons loadout were JSSM cruise missiles, the AGM-158, along with cluster munitions. These standoff weapons minimized the already diminished threat posed by Iran's remaining defenses while maximizing destructive firepower delivered to targets. The Jerusalem Post reported that a trio of B-1 bombers followed up on the B-2 strikes. Like their stealthier predecessors, these older bombers required mid-air refueling during non-stop missions from Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. US Central Command revealed the targets in a March 2nd post, accompanied by dramatic footage. Quote, "Last night, US B-1 bombers struck deep inside Iran to degrade Iranian ballistic missile capabilities. As the president stated, we're going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground." This confirmed exactly what analysts suspected. The B-2s had shattered Iran's missile cities. The B-1s came in to annihilate whatever survived, in multiple follow-up waves that Iran could do absolutely nothing about. As America's fighter jets, from F-15s to stealthy F-35s, maintained air superiority by eliminating remaining air defenses, the B-1s arrived, unleashed massive volumes of precision munitions, then flew home. A devastating 1-2 punch delivered across 3 relentless days. With precision work completed by B-2s and B-1s, America switched strategy to sustained attrition. And for that mission, it unleashed the oldest yet most enduring bomber in its arsenal, the B-52 Stratofortress. 70 years old and still devastatingly effective, the B-52 can fly up to 9,000 miles without refueling. With the United Kingdom granting base access from March 1st, the US no longer needed exhausting round trips. B-52s could land at RAF Fairford, refuel, reload, and strike Iran again. According to the US Air Force, the B-52 can drop or launch the widest array of weapons of any airframe in America's current inventory, delivering up to 70,000 pounds of ordnance per sortie. CENTCOM confirmed B-52 deployment on March 3rd. From that point forward, sledgehammer blow followed sledgehammer blow. The bombing campaign expanded beyond ballistic missile sites to include any military target within range. Iran's military infrastructure went from crumbling to nearly non-existent under constant, unrelenting pressure. By March 5th, the US had struck over 2,000 targets, including more than 20 Iranian warships put out of commission. By March 11th, that number had skyrocketed to over 5,500 targets. That translates to nearly 500 strikes per day, a relentless pace demonstrating what sustained attrition truly means. The establishment of complete air superiority also allowed bombers to target Iran's missile production facilities. So, as Iran burned through whatever missiles it could still launch, replacing them became virtually impossible. Command and control centers remained priority targets, each one destroyed, further reducing Iranian missile launches. After all, missiles and launchers are useless when no orders are coming down the chain telling operators what to hit. President Trump declared that all of Iran's air defenses were gone, along with its navy, air force, and leadership. While perhaps slightly ambitious, the claim wasn't far from truth. The B-2s laid the table, the B-1s served the destruction, and the B-52s ensured Iran's regime choked on every last morsel. By mid-March, 15 American bombers were flying strike missions from RAF Fairford, 12 B-1Bs and 3 B-52s. The B-1s were photographed being loaded with AGM-158 JASSM missiles alongside GBU-109 bunker busters, a clear signal that hardened underground targets remained on the hit list. Then came the most significant revelation. Satellite imagery from Planet Labs showed 3 precise penetration holes in the reinforced soil above Iran's Taliban II nuclear facility. Despite layers of concrete and massive soil mounds designed as shielding, something had punched clean through. The culprit, almost certainly GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bombs, 30,000-pound bunker busters deployable only by the B-2 Spirit. This represented a dramatic escalation from the 2,000-pound bombs used on February 28th. The B-2s had returned, quietly, invisibly, and struck Iran's most protected nuclear facility with the most powerful conventional bombs in America's arsenal. The message was unmistakable. Nowhere in Iran was safe. Nothing could be hidden deep enough. What we have witnessed in Operation Epic Fury is nothing less than 3 generations of American air power deployed in perfect sequence. Stealth, speed, and sustained devastation working as one unified force. The B-2 Spirit opened the door that Iran never saw opening. The B-1B Lancer kicked that door off its hinges with supersonic fury, and the B-52 Stratofortress walked through and systematically dismantled everything that remained. Iran's air defenses, gone. Its navy, destroyed. Its missile cities, entombed. Its nuclear facilities, penetrated. Its leadership, eliminated. The only question that remains is how much more Iran's shattered regime can endure before this devastating bomber blitz forces total submission.